There are many redemption stories that give us hope, but then there are stories that convict us and remind us that we can do better. The story of Venerable Father Aloysius Schwartz, or Father Al, is one of the latter. Growing up, Al would love comic books, but not just any comic books. He wanted DC-created boy commandos. This was a story in which initially one French, one Dutch, one English, and one American orphan boy grouped together in their kid gang and fought Nazis. It was these stories that would drive his desire to do good. Because of his desire to help others, he knew from a very early age that he wanted to be a priest. I wonder if anyone was surprised when he turned down a scholarship to a Jesuit high school in order to join a minor seminary, which is a school that prepares high school or college-age boys for their vocation into the priesthood. During his formation, he was acutely aware that his life in the seminary was easy and comfortable compared to those who lived in poverty around the world. He was anxious to be ordained and get to his missionary work. He would later stay in Belgium, joining an institute that prepared priests for missionary work in Africa and Asia. After his studies were done, he returned to the States and was ordained a diocesan priest in Washington, D.C. He would ask to be allowed to work in South Korea to tend to the poor there. You see, South Korea was in a dire state. Due to the Korean War, there was a massive number of widows and orphans living out on the streets. Father Al wanted to do his good work there, ministering to those who he felt needed it the most. He was granted his request, and he would work tirelessly, dealing with the cold and poor food along with those that he aided. Just 2 months after his arrival, Father Al collapsed while celebrating Mass. He was diagnosed with hepatitis A, and after realizing he couldn't help as much as he wanted while sick, he very reluctantly went back to the States for treatment. His mission for the poor in South Korea wouldn't be stopped just because he was back in the States. Oh no! He brought photos with him so he could go around showing Americans the conditions in South Korea, and then co-founded an organization called Korean Relief Inc. to raise money. He returned to South Korea just a few years later after he had recovered. To say he hit the ground running would be the understatement of the year. He wanted to live like the people he administered to, so he gave up his rectory in favor of a small shack he built. Then he founded the Sisters of Mary in Seoul to help provide teachers and nurses for the poor. Then he and the sisters built orphanages in the same year called Boys Town and Girls Town. Then he and the sisters built hospitals for homeless and disabled elderly men, mentally disabled children, and single mothers. Then he founded the Brothers of Christ. All of this by the time he was 50. And he's not even done. It was time to spread the love outside of South Korea. He founded the Sisters of Mary in Santa Mesa, Manila, in the Philippines, where they would construct buildings to house children from the slums. In 1989, Father Al once again faced a terrible diagnosis, but this time it was ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. This diagnosis would mean he would eventually lose function of his muscles to the point of paralysis and then death. But just like the hepatitis diagnosis, he did not allow this to stop him. He still had a boys' town and girls' town to build in Chalco, Mexico, much of this work being done from a wheelchair. Father Al eventually returned to the Philippines And on March 16th, 1992, it was time for him to rest. Father Al's cause for canonization has been opened, and as of this recording, he has the title of Venerable. This is step 2 of 4 in the canonization process. I know that sometimes I put off doing something good with some shallow and weak excuse. Venerable Father Al inspires me to change that way of thinking. Major illnesses could not stop this man from helping others and doing the work of Christ. In fact, I would go so far as to say even death has not stopped him, as he is on his way to canonization as a saint. That means we can pray that he has the opportunity to do God's work by interceding for us even today. What a blessing Venerable Al is for this world. Another priest who requested to minister to those in poverty was Father Damien of Molokai. He too dedicated his life to the poor through ministering to lepers. He would take up their cross and risk becoming a leper himself. But to find out what became of him, you'll have to watch this video. Venerable Aloysius Schwartz, pray for us.